Hi guys, and welcome back in one of my videos. And don't worry about the 3M mask in the background. We are in Italy right now, and these are the days of the virus, so everybody's panicking around because they think that everybody will die. Human stupidity have no limits, guys. So this is not for the virus. This is because when you paint or you do sanding works with resin and so on, I'm preparing some of my kits now to post them around the world. But when you have to prepare them, you always have to take care about your health, and this is a very good mask from 3M. This is not one of the paper one without any filters and so on, with two very good filters. This is a bar find in eBay, something that you pay around 300-400 Swedish kroner, or 30 euros more or less, $35 to have an idea. And they are incredibly good and suitable for any of the modeling stuff, so you really need this stuff when you work or when you paint, also just sanding and so on, because the breeze and the dust created by resin and from the paint is terrible. It's absolutely dangerous from your health, so be safe, guys. So the model that I wanted to introduce you today, it is a model that I built up, I guess, I think it was last year, so in 2018 or 19, I don't remember honestly, and it is a very interesting conversion for the Ferrari GT F50. That was a special version of the very famous F50 car of the 90s. The design of the overall Ferrari was the one arriving after the F40, that already was an incredible big Ferrari, the series of the real series ones, the masterpieces made in Maranello. And this is a model that I didn't produce in resin because there were already some other company making them back in time, and quite nice, I think. I just seen some models around, quite expensive. I think it was from Japan, and they provide the full body work to be fitted over the Tamiya kit. Instead, what I did here, it was I had from back in time, I saved some plastics coming, I guess, from Monogram or Revell USA F50 street car, and I wanted to convert in my own version of the F50 GT. The GT version was a kind of relative of the modern FX6 and FX6K, and there was that kind of supercar especially made by Ferrari for the clients that wanted something that is a racing version of the street supercars. It's something absolutely ultra well branded, and so it's a very, very special object. In reality, this car was the first one using the full carbon fiber monocoque chassis, so it became incredibly advanced for the time. So just talking about the modeling conversion, what I did here, it was mostly to recreate the front part. If you see the picture online between the difference, about the difference, between the ordinary street car F50 and the wannabe racing car F50 GT, I don't think this car ever raced in reality in real competitions and so on. It was just made by Ferrari for their own events and their own track days, in the kind of project that lately arrived in the FX6 idea, And about the modeling construction, the biggest issues and the difference from the street car, it is mostly around all the line of the front end section. So you have to increase the wheel arch that became wider. I always hope that you can see quite decently in my cam. It's really homemade stuff, so I just wanted to show you and to explain a little, if you can survive to my terrible English, guys. And so what I did here, it was mostly to increase the section of the front end that became quite wider, because they had different and wider tires, and the suspension became also different in this car, as well as the lower part of the air intake and all the front side became slightly different from the ordinary street car, so you have also to increase this part. I made all this modification as usual using quite thick plastic card, usually 2 to 3 millimeter, and some milliput. I don't work so much any longer nowadays with milliput, because the problem of the surface that you work with milliput is that they always remain quite raw, so it's absolutely complicated to keep them glossy and shiny. You know, this is a wonderful Ferrari, not wonderful model, but wonderful type of Ferrari, I mean. And so you have to absolutely obtain a absolutely glossy and nice finishing, you know, at the end. And instead, sometimes when you see models made by milliput and so on, after a little while, the milliput didn't catalyze so well. It's a kind of phrasing, you know, it was probably one of the best material used in modeling to build up small details and so on, but the finishing is never at the level like a full worked part coming from plastic, ordinary plastic, you know, that you can treat exactly like the remaining part of the model, you know. And other modification are, so this was the front side, I said, as well as there is a different NACA duct in the front of the bonnet, you know. If you close a little picture, you see that is a little different. Also the side intakes here about the radiator in the front end of the car. So also this side is quite different from the ordinary street car, as well as you have to recreate a air intake that they started to have. It was an air intake for the engine, you know, and arrived with a NACA duct also on the roof of the car that you had to recreate in a proper way. You know, I think in the model of Revell they also provided, I think it was Tamiya that divided the kit in two different boxes, you know. I have it, but I didn't remember if they provide also the closed part that in reality was carbon fiber, you know, in the original car. So you have to recreate a air intake over the roof of the car, as well as probably this is the hardest part of all the conversion. So you have to take back the air vents that you find on the different bonnet that they have on the engine, that I think was already in plexiglass, so it was a transparent part in the kit, and you have to recreate a kind of panel that was so typical for the F50 GT, with these two aeronautic ducts, and retaken the shape of the vents that you find in the covering of the street version, you know, as well as the two different hosting for the locks related to the panel, you know. Another minor difference that was quite easy to do, it was completely to change the line of the side, because in the ordinary F50 you will have a particular designed rear wing that was typical of this Ferrari. I personally didn't like it so much, but it was the design of the 90s of this kind of super Ferrari, so you have always to figure it out for the period where they were related to, you know. And instead the GT was different because they had a completely different rear end. So the rear end, as well as the bumper, also the rear bumper I think is different, and the rear extractor also is different. Instead, the ordinary F50 should have here in this position the exhaust. Instead, this one became much more with racing purpose, had different finals, you know, for the exhaust, and with a little diffuser. They still didn't went on the way of the modern back diffuser that became so wide and so big that the latest racer you will see around, they have huge diffuser in the end to create a downground effect on the lower part of the car. Instead, in this was still a little delicate, if you admit the word, you know, but it was in a way cool because it was something really particular on this model, as well as the little holes that they had for air, for the air suspensions and so on, to lift the car when the car stopped in the pit stops and so on. Last but not least, I forgot to mention also this, there was a line, you know, also in the side of the ordinary F50 street car, that you will see that this air intake is slightly different in the ordinary street car, and this you will obtain when you go, if you want to do the same modification. It sounds so complicated, but it is not at all, in my opinion, so complicated. That's why I didn't went around to search for the expensive already done racing model kit. I just wanted to coronavirus arriving, maybe not, and I didn't want to go for the big conversion in racing, so I think it was something really easy that every modeler can do with a little documentation. And what at the time I didn't have the possibility to do, like I would do today if I should remake this model nowadays, it will be the rims, you know, because these rims, they have been scratch built. This was one of the biggest issues and different from the ordinary street car. They usually had I think it was a speed line, yeah, it was a speed line, specific rim. I guess it was made in magnesium in the original car, and they have been scratch built, so the center bolt and the sprockets and so on, they are scratch built rims. Today it's very easy to find companies that provide 3D printed wheels, so you don't have this issue any longer. And also the decal coming from this, the car have very few decals, you know. I just saved the typical Cavallino Rampante logo and the Cavallino on the front, and nothing else, you know. And then of course the writings on the wheels, they are coming from the box. I think it was, it's surely the speed line was coming from a spare decal from Alpha 155, the DTM, the red Alpha Corse, you know. Instead the other ones, I honestly don't remember. It was something spare from Virage, I think, something very, very easy to find around anyway, the sponsor for the wheels, you know. And the interior you don't see so much, because the interior had just minor details and minor difference. Of course it was not a real racing cockpit, you know, so I don't remember neither if I had to place inside the roll cage and so on. Probably not. I don't see that. I don't remember, honestly, because you see, make so many models that I don't remember when I make the video. Now it's more than 1 year that I made this car, so I don't remember it so well what I did. I just wanted to build up. And that's it, you know. The finishing is absolutely well done. I use it for this molded the Gunze GX100. That is absolutely very, very nice glossy finishing, you know. And I think the mirror finishing is quite decent, you know, in this car. So I'm pretty satisfied with the result. And I think it's absolutely very, very nice model that everybody would love to have in their own collection when you have Ferraris and special Ferraris, you know, not the ordinary one that you can find around. This is a very, very special Ferrari in reality, and of course also in the modeling in scale that we all do. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.